Good morning, Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas Eve, 24th of December 2020, and what an interesting year it has been. I was up early this morning on the phone to a friend of mine in California, and she's a Scotswoman as well, and was looking at the Brexit deal, no deal. It seemed to be they were more interested in telling us that Boris Johnson had pizza delivered than they were about actually giving us any information about Brexit whatsoever. So I have named this morning resilience or reacting. So what is the benefit of resilience? Well, when you're resilient...
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, there's resilience right there for you. Should we burst into song and no do one? It was Christmas Eve, babe, in the drunk tank. An old man said, son, I won't see another one. Goodness, we're having a laugh. So, resilience or reacting, right? So what's the benefit of resilience versus reacting? So when you're resilient, you are able to manage stress better. And when you're able to manage stress better, you're healthier. And when you're healthier, you're able to manage stress better. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. And I think that developing a resilient mindset is certainly something that is helpful for us, especially in these very difficult and unprecedented times that we are living in. And it doesn't look as if it's going to get any easier. It would seem from what the news is presenting that another national lockdown could be imminent. And I don't know about you, but that kind of scares the bejesus out of me, really. And, okay, so coming in this water, for those of you that have been following that, it's because this is where I've got time to do a little vlog in the morning, because I've got 10 minutes in here and it makes sense to be able to kill two birds with one stone. And to be perfectly honest, it takes my mind off just how chittery it is. Morning from the hill. Good morning, Mr. Des. You were missed last night. Last night was fantastic. Right, so when you're developing a resilient mindset, right, I've got to be very careful with my phone because I don't want to drop it in the Clyde. So when you're reactionary, okay, so if somebody, for an example, says something to you and it triggers you, and you fly off the handle and fly into a fit of rage, well, you've completely lost control at that point. And the other thing that you've lost is your dignity and your power. You've given yourself away, right? So if you think that being Mr. Angry or Mrs. Angry is the way forward about how to manage a situation, then I would say that you're probably wrong in your thinking, and that's not effective to think like that. Whereas when you start to develop resilience, you can create a space. I think Viktor Frankl said a wonderful thing: between stimuli and response, there is a space. Between stimuli and response, there is a space. So we're being stimulated all the time. The external reality, the external environment is stimulating it as an unconscious, non-conscious, subconscious levels continually. We can't get away from that. You know, everything has a frequency, everything has a memory, everything that we've ever seen before, we've seen before. And we maybe seen it in a time when we were less resilient, or indeed, for an example, even today at 48, when I'm walking down the street and I see parents shouting at their kids, it triggers me. So it's not the actual parents that's shouting at their kids in 2020 that's triggering me. It's taking me back to an earlier time in my development where I didn't have the capacity or the abilities that I have as a 48-year-old man now. Okay, so fundamentally, where does resilience come from? So very, very quickly, 3 different parts of your brain. You've got your cerebellum, your reptilian brain at the back of your brain. That's the oldest part of your brain. Then you've got your limbic system, and then you've got your prefrontal cortex. To put that into perspective, your reptilian brain, your cerebellum, is about 300 million years old. About 100 million years after that, there was a phylogenetic change in your DNA system, and love from a very resilient lady from Berlin. Hello, very resilient lady in Berlin. Right, so about 100 million years after the birth of the cerebellum, the reptilian brain, there was a phylogenetic change in our DNA structure which created the birth of the limbic brain. Okay, so that's like maybe 200 million years old or something like that. The limbic brain is when we started giving birth to live young. We started to develop a whole range of emotions which were different to basically just survival, which is what the reptilian brain is all about. And my reptilian brain is probably kicking in right now because it's -1 outside. Can't see the smoke I'm breathing out. And it's pretty chilly in here, which is a good thing. So our prefrontal cortex, or our cortical regions of our brain, and our prefrontal cortex is somewhere in the region of 40,000 years old. And when we look at our cortical region of our brain, and predominantly our prefrontal cortex in the front of our brain, and our left occipital in the prefrontal cortex is probably the most advanced, most executive functioning part of our brain that we have. Okay, so when wee Danny comes along and says to wee Johnny, your mum is something or other derogatory, and wee Johnny takes a bottle of Budweiser and smashes wee Danny over the head with it, that was a completely reptilian reaction to what was being said. Now, if Danny was able to go into his left occipital and his prefrontal cortex and think irrationally and executively about what was going on, he would probably look at the situation and think, goodness me, that's not like little Johnny to be like this. I wonder if little Johnny is going through a hard time right now because of COVID-19, right? And that is what Viktor Frankl said when he said somewhere between stimuli and response, there is a space. It's about learning to live in that space. It's about learning to be okay with that liminal space that can feel very unusual if you've never experienced that before. So developing a resilient mindset, especially in this time that we're living in, because there's so much uncertainty. But one thing that I am almost sure of, being angry and upset and blaming the government and moaning and complaining is not healthy. It's not a healthy way. I don't know where my dog got this ball from, but sorry, he's running about with a ball. Where do you think he got the ball from? Goodness, must have came downstream. What time are we at, guys? 9 minutes done. Right, we're 9 minutes done. We've only got a minute to go. So, worthwhile developing a resilient mindset. By coming in here, it's resilient. And one of the things that I said to a dear friend of mine, you get a lot of big guys that jump about and like to throw their weight about and all the rest of it. And we've seen them come in here. We've seen them come in here and they're screaming like little boys, right? So going in here is about learning. For me, it's about learning to be more resilient, because if I can't handle that, then what chance have I got when I'm presented with somebody that goes into a fit of rage, where I can remain calm and stay present and not get involved in their BS? And that is the most important thing for me right now, is not getting involved in other people's BS and not being scared. So have a fantastic Christmas, everybody. Christmas Eve to yous all. Have a good one.